Hello, in this video I'll be explaining lesson 5 in section 1. Today we're going to be talking about business objectives and stakeholders objectives. So let's start. So, need for and importance of business objectives. The first thing we're going to learn is what is meant by an objective. So, an objective is an aim or a target to work towards, and this is like the general definition of objective. Main one, when we are talking about a business objective, they are aims or targets that a business works towards. So why do we need an objective? Because it helps to make the business successful, and also like just because we have as a business we have an objective, that doesn't mean that we are going to be successful, but also we have many benefits of setting an objective. The first benefit is they give workers and managers a clear target to work towards. So all workers and managers, they're going to have a similar target to work towards, and this helps to motivate people to reach this target or to reach this aim. Number two, taking decisions will be focused on will it help achieve our objectives. So we are going to, because we set an objective, we're going to be able to take decisions that are going to help us to achieve this objective. Number three, clear and measurable objectives help unite the whole business towards the same goal. So because I have an objective, I'll make sure that the whole business, with all the departments, all the managers, all the workers, they have a clear and measurable objective to work upon. And number four, business managers can compare how the business has performed to their objectives to see if they have been successful or not. So because I have an objective, I can do this kind of comparison in my business, whether I let's say reached this goal or I achieved this objective or not. Not all businesses, they have the same objective. We have different business objectives, and actually the most common objectives for any businesses in the private sectors are these six objectives. The first one is business survival, profit, return to shareholders, growth of the business, market share, and service to the community. And in this video, I'm going to explain each and every objective, starting with the survival objective. Survival, when a business has recently been set up or when the economy is moving into recession. So when, as a business, I will choose survival as an objective when, number one, my business is new, it has been recently set up, or when the economy of the country that I'm living in or I'm working in is moving into recession. The objectives of the business will be more concerned with survival more than anything. So, and the third reason why I would choose survival as an objective, because new competitors can also make a business feel less secure when there is a lot of competition. So my objective might be survival, which is surviving among all these new competitors. The managers of the business are threatened in this way. They could decide to lower prices in order to survive, even though this would lower the profit on each item sold. So in the survival objective, they just want to survive their day-to-day working day, or they would just want to survive with their business. And the second objective, which is the most common objective, which is making profit. Profit is the total income of a business revenue less total cost. So when a business is owned by a private individual rather than the government, it is usually the case that the business is operated with the aim of making profit. So usually the private businesses or private individuals, their main goal for their businesses is just to make profit, because they know that profit is important in so many things, and profit is needed into two main things. The first one is to pay a return to the owners of the business for the capital invested and the risk taken. So my objective is just to make profit in order to, let's say, pay dividends for the shareholders, or to actually cover the cost and so on. And the second reason why I will focus to make profit my aim is to provide finance for further investments in the business, and I need profit also for the expansion part. But there are dangers to this aim. So because a lot of businesses, in order to make profit, they raise up their prices in order to make profit. It may find that consumers stop buying its goods. Other people will be encouraged to set up in competition, will reduce the profits in long term for original businesses. So because like profit has this kind of let's say drawback, it's just because if I'm a business and I'm focusing on making profit, like the main way I can gain this profit is by increasing my prices, and this is not something that the consumers will find it like good so easily. They can just stop buying its good, and when the consumers are they stop buying my goods, then the sales is going to be reduced, therefore the profits in the long run it's going to be way lower. The third objective is returns to shareholders. So we've explained who is a shareholder in the previous video. The managers of companies will often set objectives of increasing returns to shareholder. This is to discourage shareholders from selling their shares and help managers to keep their jobs. So some businesses, they focus on making let's say the dividends to shareholders, let's say, stable, or to increase the return to shareholders in order to discourage shareholders from selling their shares, the money they invested in the business, and also to help managers to keep their jobs. So returns to shareholders are increased in two ways. So if I'm aiming to increase the return to shareholders, I have two main ways. The first way is increasing profit and the share of profit paid to shareholders as dividends. So in order to increase the return to shareholder, I should focus on increasing profit as well. Because when I increase profit, or when I'm trying to increase the profit I'm getting as a business, the dividends for the shareholder is going to be increased as well. Number two, increasing share price. Managers can try to achieve this not just by making profits, but by putting plans in place that gives business a good chance of growth and higher profits in the future. So one of the things that I can do as a business is to increase the share price if, let's say, more and more shareholders wants to join the business or to invest in the business. And these are the two ways I can achieve this objective, which is return to shareholders. The fourth objective is growth. The owners and managers of a business may aim for growth in the size of the business, usually measured by value of sales or output in order to. So I will, as a business, some businesses, they aim to make their businesses more a bigger business and to have a large business in size. So why would they like take this let's say objective as their own? Because number one, growth is going to make jobs more secure if the business is larger. So the larger the business, the jobs are more secure. Number two, to increase salaries and status of managers as the business expands. So if I have a large business, definitely the managers are going to get more salaries, more money, and high prestige and status for the managers. And number three, open up new possibilities and help to spread the risks of the business by moving into new products and new markets. So in order let's say to start a new let's say products and new markets, I have to expand. I have to, let's say, not to remain small, I have to be a bigger and larger business. So when I'm growing as a business, it's going to open up doors for me, new opportunities, new possibilities. So this is why some businesses, they aim or they want growth to be their main objective. Number four, obtain a higher market share from growth in sales. So this is the fourth let's say let's say the fourth most important thing why businesses aim for growth is because they're going to get a higher market share, and I'm going to explain market share in the coming pages. Number five, obtain cost advantages called economies of scale from business expansion, which is lowering the average cost, because larger businesses are going to have let's say lower average cost, and they're going to have this cost advantages. So growth will be achieved only if the business's customers are satisfied with the products or services being provided. For this reason, it might be important to put meeting to put meeting customers' needs at a very high priority, because if you're gonna grow, you can't grow if you don't understand the needs and wants of your customers. So if you, let's say, took growth as your own objective as a business, you must understand that the customers must be super satisfied with your business, with your products, and with your services. And now we are going to be talking about the market share over here. So some businesses, their main goal over here is the market share. All right, which is the fifth goal. So what is meant by market share? The market share, it is a percentage. It's a percentage of what? Of total market sales held by one brand or the business. So if the total value of sales in a market is $100 million in 1 year, and company A sold $20 million of this $100 million, then company A's market share is 20%. So how did I know the market share of company A? It's through this equation. If I want to know the market share, and as we said, market share, it's a percentage, I will put the company's sales, the number of money the company A sold in, and divided by the total market share multiplied by 100, because I want a percentage. Pay attention over here. So increased market share gives a business a lot of benefits. Why some businesses, they want to have the higher market share? Why do they want like their sales to be like the highest percentage of the total market sales? Because number one is going to give good publicity for the business, and it's going to be the most popular one. It's going to be known for the most popular one because it has the highest market share in the market, or among the market sales. And number two, increased influence over suppliers, as they will be very keen to sell to business that's becoming relatively larger than others in the industry. They're going to influence the suppliers. The suppliers are going to, let's say, be like competitive, who's gonna like deal with this business because this business has the highest market share. And number three, increased influence over customers. So as when I have the highest market share, I will have an influence not only on suppliers, but in point two, but also an influence on customers as well. The sixth objective is providing a service to the community, the objective of social enterprises. So this is the most common objective for social enterprises. And first, let us be introduced to what is a social enterprise. A social enterprise has social objectives as well as an aim to make profit to reinvest back into the business. So social enterprises has two main objectives. Is number one, the social objectives, and also the profit to reinvest in the business and keep the business alive and to reinvest in it. So social enterprises are operated by private individuals. All right, they are in the private sector, so private individuals, and they are also in the private sector, but they do not have just profit as an objective. It's not just profit, but also they have three main objectives for their businesses when it comes to, let's say, offering services for the benefit of the society, which is called social objectives. So we have three objectives for their businesses. The social enterprise have three objectives for their businesses. Number one, a social objective to provide jobs and support for the disadvantaged groups in the society. So as I said over here, their objective aside of the profit is just to help the society, whether in providing job or to support the disadvantaged groups such as the disabled or the homeless. This is the social objective. Now we have the environmental objective. It's just to protect the environment. And C, financial, to make a profit to invest back into the social enterprise to expand the social work that it performs. So social, environmental, and financial. When I say financial, I link it to the other aim, which is profit, to reinvest it back into the social enterprise and to expand and grow as a social enterprise. So there are reasons why business objectives could change. A lot of businesses, they start with survival, then they change into profit, or they change from to obtain the highest market share into just to return for shareholders. And over here we have three examples of situations the businesses changed its objectives. The first one's changed from survival to profit. A business set up recently has survived for 3 years, and the owner now aims to work towards higher profit. So now this is an example of a startup business. 3 years later, the survival is not their main aim. Now they're aiming to make higher profit. And the second one is changing from market share to return to shareholders. A business has achieved higher market share and now has the objective of earning higher returns for shareholders. So they achieved their objective over here, and now they're, let's say, moving to another objective, which is earning higher returns for shareholders, to make sure that the shareholders at the end of, let's say, the business process, they are getting higher dividends. And the third one, it's changing from profit to survival. A profit-making business operates in a country facing a serious economic recession, and so now has the short-term objective of survival. So there was a specific, let's say, a serious economic, let's say, problem, which is recession, that made the business change its objectives from profit to survival, just to survive day-to-day operations. Now, Miss, we have the main internal and external stakeholder groups and their objectives. So the stakeholders, we're going to be introduced to, or to know who is a stakeholder, and to understand that there is internal and external stakeholder as well. And each stakeholder has its own objective. So here we have a stakeholder. He's an owner, workers, managers, consumers, government, the whole community, and banks. So first, let us know who is a stakeholder, and pay attention when I'm saying stakeholder, and I'm not saying shareholder, I'm saying stakeholder. So a stakeholder is any person or group with direct interest in the performance and the activities of the business. So the stakeholders, they are, let's say, it's either an individual or a group that they have a direct interest, whether the business is making a profit or making a loss, and it's going to affect them in a way or another, in a direct way or in indirect way. In this schedule, we're gonna know, let's say, the main features of these stakeholders and what are their objectives towards the business. So here we have owners, which is an internal stakeholder, workers, internal stakeholder, managers, internal stakeholders. I'm going to start with these three. The first one, the owner. The features of the owner is, they are the owners, they are the people who put capital in the business to set it up and to expand it, and they take share of the profit. If the business does not attract enough customers, they may lose the money they're invested over here, which is linked to number one, and they are risk takers. This is the characteristic of an owner. Now let's see what are the objectives of owners, that they are internal stakeholders. Shares of the profit, so share of the profit, so they can so they gain a rate of return on money the money put into the business. So one of the objectives of the owner, that he gets profit, let's say, gets a profit in because they invested money in the business, to return the money they invested in, maybe more, to have a higher percentage. So if I, like, let's say, invested money $2,000 in this business, my main objective as an owner to get 4,000 or 6,000, which is money higher than the money I invested in the business. So the second objective, growth of the business, so they have value of their investments increases. So I will aim to actually grow as a business and to get my money back. As a worker, internal stakeholder, so we call them internal because they are inside the business. They are workers, they are employed by the business. They have to follow the instructions of managers, and they need training for their work to work efficiently. They may be employed on full or part-time contracts, or on a temporary or permanent basis. And if there is not enough work for all workers, some may be redundant. So these are the features of workers, and who are they, how they work, and so on. So, as a worker, internal stakeholder, what is my objective from this business? The first objective is just to get my payment for their work. And number two, to have an actual contract of employment and legal document to link me with the business, to have a job security. Workers do not want to look for new jobs frequently, to make sure that I will have my job and I'm secured in my job that gives the worker satisfaction and also provides motivation. So as a worker, I'm looking at my objective from the business just to be satisfied, to be secured, and to be motivated. Now, the third internal stakeholder, the managers, they are also employees for the business and they control the work of other workers over here. And the second feature, they take important decisions. They are allowed to take decisions. Their successful decisions could lead the business into expanding, and these 2 points are linked to each other. If they make poor decisions, the business could fail, and also this point is all related to the decision part. So if they make an important decision, if it's a successful decision, it's going to lead to expansion. Bad decision, it could lead to total failure. So as a manager, what are my objectives from this business? Number one, to get higher salaries, because I do a lot of important work, and let's say the success of the business depends totally on my decision. Job security, because he's a normal employee. And number three, growth of the business, so the managers can control a bigger and better known business. This gives them more status and power. So as a manager, I will make sure that my business grow and to expand and to be larger and better and well known, because this is going to give me, let's say, more status, prestige, and power. Over here, we have the customers. They are external stakeholders, the government, external stakeholders, the whole community, they are external stakeholders, and we have banks, also external stakeholders. So, the customers, the features of the customers, they are important to every business. They are the ones who buy the goods that the business produces or the services that the business provides. Without enough customers, a business will make losses and eventually will fail. So also the success or the loss of the business depends majorly on the customers. And the most successful businesses often find out what consumers want before making goods or providing services. This is called market research. So the customers, they are the main factor in our market research in order to understand their needs and wants before I actually start with my production process. Now, what are my objectives as a customer from the business? Number one, to have a safe and reliable products, to pay something to have value in exchange of my money, to get value from the product or service, to have a well-designed products and products with good quality, and if I'm getting a service from this business, to have a reliable service and maintenance. Now, as a government, the government, it's responsible for the economy of the country. This is a feature of the government, always responsible for the economy of the country. It passes law to protect workers and consumers. So when it comes to businesses, the government is an important factor to, let's say, put laws and regulations to protect workers and consumers as well. As a government, my objectives towards the business is, wants the business to succeed in its country. Successful businesses will employ workers and pay taxes and increase the country's output and the GDP. So as a government, I will make sure to help all businesses, and I really want all my businesses in my country to succeed, because they're going to give jobs, they're going to provide jobs, they're going to pay the taxes, and also will increase the country's output of goods and services. Expect all firms to stay within the law. Law affects business activity. To make sure as a government, my objective is to keep that all businesses, they are following the law. The whole community. The community is greatly affected by the business activity. For example, dangerous products might harm the population. Factories can produce pollution that damage rivers, the sea, and air quality. So one of the features for the community is that they are greatly affected by the business activity, especially when it comes to pollution of air and rivers and water and And the C, businesses also create jobs and allow workers to raise their living standards. Many products are beneficial to the community, such as medicines or public transport. So, as a community, one of the things that I will, let's say, get from the businesses is because businesses are going to create jobs for the people and will allow, let's say, the workers to raise their living status, to have a better life situation. So, as a community, my objectives is to jobs for the working population. I will get more jobs from this business. Number two, production that does not damage the environment. My objective for as a community to have a production from these businesses that does not damage the environment that I'm living in, and also to offer safe products that are socially responsible. The last external stakeholder, which is the banks also, like, whenever you see the word bank, you have to, let's say, link bank to the word finance. So they provide finance for the business operation. A lot of businesses, they depend on banks for the loans to start their business, or even if it's not just a startup business, just to take the loan to expand, to grow. Even if large businesses, they take loans from the banks. And as a bank, my objective from the business is expecting the business to be able to pay interests and to repay the capital lent. Businesses must remain liquid. So Asad, over here we have the businesses, the banks over here, their main goal is just whenever I lend this business money to pay me back with the interest that I will be putting on the loan that I gave them. Now, objectives of the public sector businesses. So we talked about the public sector. We talked how the government owns and controls many businesses and the activities in the public sector, and what are likely objectives for public sector businesses. Let's see. The first objective is the financial objective. So meet profit targets set by government. Sometimes the profit is reinvested back in the business, and on the occasions hand over to the government as the owner of the organization to have at least a little bit of money or to profit, to reinvest it back in the business and to keep this business going. And the second objective is services, as a public sector and providing services to the public and meet quality targets set by the government. So as a public sector or business in the public sector, I must, let's say, provide services and also to meet quality targets and to provide not any service but a high quality service, such as health services and educational services. And number three, social objectives, to protect and create employment in certain areas, especially poor regions with few other business employers. So as a public sector, the third objective is a social objective, to protect or create employment in a certain area, especially the areas that are really far from the capital. My objective as a business or as a government to make sure that I'm providing jobs in all areas around the country. Conflict of stakeholder objectives. In the previous section, we assumed that the business could set one objective and aim for that. However, life is not that simple, and most dangerous are trying to satisfy the objectives of more than one group, as the diagram below shows. So over here, they're showing that a lot of conflicts between the stakeholders' objectives. It could have one more than the goals or the objectives that we just explained over here. And some people, like over here in the stakeholders, they it's not that simple. They cannot. Some businesses do not achieve, or they do not, let's say, uh, achieve the objectives of the stakeholders, and could, like, create conflicts between these stakeholders. Thank you. That was our lesson for today. Study well.